in the last part, we had come up to the theory of centripetal and centrifugal force. So today we are continuing with the next part, and that is applications of circular motion. Okay. So yes, let us move ahead without wasting any time. See, applications of circular motion involves some of the uses of circular motion in day-to-day life. Okay. So as I have told you in my previous session also, we are not going to discuss derivations. We are going to focus only over the problem approach. Okay. Means we are going to focus on such things which will be useful for solving the problem. Yes? Okay. So applications of circular motion firstly brings a very important point, and that is banking of road. Okay. So this is a very nice application of circular motion. Okay. And which is of great use, as we know, right? So what is banking of road basically? First of all, I tell you the concept, and then let us go to the mathematical terminologies which are involved inside it. Okay. So remember, whenever we are traveling on a horizontal road, okay, whenever we are traveling on a horizontal road, suppose let us say there is a turn, okay, and suppose here there is a person who is riding a bike. Okay, let us say the person is riding a bike and he is taking a turn. There is a sharp turn involved. Okay. Now remember, whenever a person is going with his fullest speed and also he wants to take a turn, there is a very big risk involved that he may slip off and he may get off the road. Okay, he may slip off and get off the road. So that is, there is no centripetal force, or there is not that much centripetal force which can balance the centrifugal force. See, let us say the person is here. Okay, so towards center is centripetal force, away from the center is centrifugal force. Okay, but now whenever he is traveling with a great speed, okay, whenever he is traveling with a great speed, the amount of centrifugal force exceeds than the amount of centripetal force, and in this case what may happen? The person may slip off and he may get off the road. Okay, and he may get off the road. So to avoid this risk, roads are banked. Okay, what is banking? Banking is raising of the inner edge, the raising of outer edge over the inner edge by some angle theta. Okay, raising of the outer edge over inner edge by some angle theta, which makes the person not to slide off. Okay, the road itself protects the person from sliding off. How? Because the level is raised and hence the person simply inclines a bit. Okay, so the effect of centripetal force increases. Okay, the effect of centripetal force increases, which automatically balances the centrifugal force. Okay, and hence a person does not get off the road. Okay, so banking of road is very necessary so that a person does not get off the road. Remember that. Okay, yes, fine. So here in this point, what we are going to discuss is how banking of road, or how this banking angle, remember this theta is called as banking angle. Okay, this theta is called as banking angle. How the banking angle is determined? First thing, and second thing, how forces balance each other. For that, we need to look out what forces are exactly acting over the body or the vehicle itself. Okay, so let us move to that point. Let us move to that point. What forces are acting over the person or the vehicle? Okay, so let us consider a diagram. I am just telling the students of CET, just remember the diagram and you will be totally fine with the concept of banking of road. Okay, so what is the diagram? We have to just draw an inclined road which is inclined at an angle theta. Here is the body. Okay, here is the body or let us say it is a vehicle. Fine. Now see, when remember, let us say this is the center of mass of vehicle. Even if you don't know the concept of center of mass, let it be, doesn't matter. So let it be the center of mass. Whenever anything is traveling over earth or anything is traveling on the surface of the earth, always remember there is a net downward force acting over it, and which is nothing but the weight of the particle, right? So this is weight of the particle or weight of the vehicle which is acting vertically downward. Okay. Now always remember, by Newton's third law, to every action there is equal and opposite, and of course instantaneous reaction. Okay. So whenever this vehicle is applying some force vertically downward, okay, there is also vertically upward force which is being exerted by the surface of the earth itself, and that force is always perpendicular to the surface, which is given by normal reaction capital N, which is given by normal reaction capital N. Okay, there is also another force involved which is known as static friction, force of static friction, remember that. Okay, force of static friction is related to frictional force. Now you know that friction is a thing which is very necessary for motion, right? Whenever a body needs to be in motion, it needs to have some friction with the surface, otherwise it cannot be in motion. Otherwise it cannot be in motion, and hence static friction force or force of static friction is very necessary over here, so that I have mentioned it over here. Okay? Yes. So these are the three main forces which are required, and now we are going to have some components of these forces. We are going to have some components of these forces. What is a component? What is a component? Component is anything acting along a certain direction. Okay? Component is a part of this quantity which is acting along a certain direction. Now we have fixed two main directions, okay? And that is a vertical component, that is the vertical direction. Of course, it has two parts, vertically upward, vertically downward. Okay? So, vertically upward direction, remember that. Okay? Second, horizontal direction. Okay? So, these are the two components which are necessary. Fine? Vertically upward or vertical component and horizontal component. Simply you can remember it like this. Okay? Now I am going to tell you some tricks how to remember the components. Okay, just pay attention. Remember, normal reaction is an upward force always. Since we are acting the force vertically downward, of course normal reaction will be vertically upward, and hence remember to give theta over here. Okay, remember to give theta over here. Okay, if you get confused between where to give theta, to the vertical component or to the horizontal component, remember that normal force or normal reaction is a vertical force, vertically upward force, and hence give theta to the vertical component. And always remember, while calculating or while giving the components, always give cos theta to one which has theta along with it. Okay, so this component has theta adjacent to it, give it cos theta. It is just an easy trick to remember. Okay, give it cos theta, and the opposite one you have to give it sin theta. Okay, you have to give it sin theta. In the similar fashion, Fs, that is force of static friction, it is, remember, a horizontal force. Okay, it is a horizontal force, and always give theta to its horizontal component. See, Fs also has two components over here, vertically downward component this one, and horizontal component this one. Okay, so whenever I have components for capital N, I already have components for Fs also. So Fs, now see, this is the horizontal component of Fs, and I have given theta here. Always remember, wherever theta is there, you have to give cos theta. So this is F cos theta, and this is F sin theta. Remember that. Okay, this is F cos theta, and this is F sin theta. Remember that. Okay, so even if you remember this diagram, you will be able to derive the whole derivation. Okay, by just balancing the forces, you can derive the whole derivation. Now I am not going for the whole derivation. I am just going to tell you some important formula to remember. Okay, out of which one formula is for velocity, You have to strictly remember the formula since it is of great use for CET, okay, as well as for mid exam also, since some questions might be asked on this topic, okay. So V is under root Rg into bracket mu s plus tan theta upon 1 minus mu s into tan theta. Now what is that? See, V is of course velocity, R is radius of curvature, of course, okay. G is acceleration due to gravity. We all know that very well, okay, since we have been practicing it since many years, okay. So mu s is a different term. It is called as coefficient of friction or coefficient of static friction. Remember, here we have force of static friction and there we have coefficient of static friction. Okay, so that is a constant part which is involved in determination of the force of static friction. Remember that. Okay, so mu s is coefficient of friction. Of course, theta is banking angle. Theta is banking angle. Okay, so with these many terminologies, you have to remember that formula. Okay, you have to remember that formula. Okay, yes. Now, remembering this diagram will help you a lot, as I have already said. See, now I will run the diagram and I will discuss some conditions. Okay, now this formula is important. This formula is important, remember that. Okay, this diagram is most important. So you have to remember this one also. Yes? Okay, so now let me run the diagram and I will go towards the main part, that is the conditions. Okay, two conditions which are involved in the velocity. The first one, in both the conditions we are going to discuss formula for maximum velocity. Okay, the first condition is if mu s is 0. Okay, now what does this mean? Mu s is 0 implies that there is no friction. Mu s is 0 implies that there is no friction. That is, whenever a car or a vehicle is traveling over this banked road, there is no friction involved in between the tires of the car or the bike and the road. Okay, now in this condition, see, it is very simple. Okay, if there is no friction, there are many chances of getting off the road, right? So now what I am going to do is I am going to determine the maximum velocity with which the vehicle can travel so that it does not get off the road. Okay, I am going to determine maximum velocity with which the vehicle can travel so that it does not get off the road. Okay, yes. So now let me derive the point. Okay, see, I have V is equal to under root Rg times, now mu s is 0, therefore let me put 0 here, and upon 1 minus 0 into tan theta. Now with straight calculation you can come to the conclusion that it is V equal to Rg tan theta. V equal to Rg tan theta. This is straight away calculation. There is nothing difficulty involved in it. Okay, so I have written it directly. So whenever friction is 0, coefficient of friction is 0, that time what you have to use? You have to use this formula. V is equal to under root Rg tan theta. Okay. Now remember, there are two formulae for maximum velocity, and most of students get confused in between the first and the second formula. Which one to use whenever you are facing the exam or whenever you are solving the problem? So remember this condition. This is very important. Okay, this determines whether which formula to use. Okay, so if coefficient of friction is 0, then you have to use V equal to under root Rg tan theta. And the second condition brings to you, if tan theta is 0, or let us say if theta is 0, okay, then what? That is, the road has not been banked. Okay, it is a flat horizontal road. Then with what maximum velocity can you travel here? Okay, theta is 0 implies what? See, banking of road is a concept of banking angle. Na? If this is 0, then there is no angle. So there is no banking. You will have a straight flat horizontal road. Right? So if the road is horizontal, totally horizontal, then what? Okay, see what happens. V equal to under root Rg into bracket mu s plus tan theta is 0 upon 1 minus mu s into again tan theta is 0. So straight calculation will give you mu s into rg. So this is the formula for maximum velocity. These both are the formulae for maximum velocity. Okay. So whenever you are asked to find out maximum velocity, go for either this one or this one. Okay, depends upon the condition whether mu s is 0 or theta is 0. Okay, so Vmax equal to under root mu s into rg. So this is the condition for maximum velocity. Remember that. Okay. Yes. So now again let me tell you another point. Okay, another important point which is related to this one. Okay, but it is not mentioned inside the textbook. So maybe you will need the point. That is the point for minimum velocity. Okay, maximum velocity has been mentioned, no doubt, but minimum velocity formula has not been mentioned. Just write it down in your notebook. It is just dividing by mu s. Okay. See, for maximum velocity, you multiply the coefficient of friction to rg. For minimum velocity, you just divide the coefficient of friction to rg, and you will get minimum velocity. Okay. And you will get minimum velocity. So that's it. That is the point where applications of circular motion is. Okay. Yes. So now quickly I am going to the next point, and that next point is, see, now till now we have observed horizontal circular motion. Okay. Till now we have observed horizontal circular motion. Now I will be going for vertical circular motion. We are going towards vertical circular motion. Okay. Yes. Vertical circular motion. Okay. Yes. Now see, this is not at all a point of confusion, or this is not at all difficult. Just understand the difference. Okay, that is very important. We will consider two cases. One is vertical circular motion, of course. Okay, let us say a particle is here. This one is particle P, and a horizontal circular motion. I am trying to show it. Just imagine it horizontally. Okay. Yes. Fine. Okay. Here. Now see. What is the basic difference between horizontal circular motion and vertical circular motion? Okay. So the basic difference is, in horizontal circular motion, if you consider any instance or any position of this particle, it is rotating at the same height. It is rotating at the same height. See, horizontal circular motion will be in this plane, right? So particle will be rotating like this. Okay. So it is being attracted by the earth. Okay, it is being attracted by the earth at the same height. Okay, wherever the particle is rotating, it is at the same height. So there is no net change in potential energy. There is no net change in potential energy. Whereas in this case, in vertical circular motion, the height always varies. See. Let us consider 3 points A, B and C. At point A, the particle is at highest possible height. At point B, it is at the midway. At point C, it is at the lowest possible height. So height varies. Okay. Let us say this is h, this is h. Okay. Then for point A, height is 2h. For point C, height is 0, and for point B, height is again h. So height varies, and hence potential energy also varies. Okay, hence potential energy also varies. So this is the basic difference between vertical circular motion and horizontal circular motion. Remember that. Okay. Yes. So now let us move ahead. What are the important terminologies involved in vertical circular motion which are useful? Okay. Fine. See, here we are concerned with two things. One is velocity and the other is energy. Okay, one is velocity and the other is energy. Now what is velocity? Or let me say velocity at which point? Okay, So we are going to determine the velocities at 3 points A, B and C. Okay. Now see why we are going to determine the velocities at these points. Remember, in a vertical circular motion, remember, for any motion, or let us say for any vertical circular motion, a minimum amount of energy is required at each place. Okay. A minimum amount of energy is required at each place. And at each place, see, for point A, point B and point C, the velocities are different. Okay. For point A, point B and point C, the velocities are different. How they are different? Let me just make you imagine it. See, whenever your particle is at point C, okay, whenever your particle is at point C, it needs to have that much velocity so that it can cover the whole path till point A. Since till point A, it will be opposed for the motion. It will be opposed by the gravity for its motion. So from point C to point A, it is very necessary that it needs a certain amount of minimum velocity so that it can reach point A. Okay? At point A, as you can see, there is no much need of velocity, since just by passing this point, again gravity will act over it and it will again take it down. Okay? At point A, there is no need of much velocity, since gravity will act over the particle and it will take it to the downstairs. Now, at point B, again it will require somewhat energy so that it can cover up to the distance of point A. Again, while coming to point A, it will need the minimum velocity. So, velocity varies at each point. Minimum velocity varies at each point. And if the minimum velocity condition is not satisfied, the vertical circular motion would stop. Okay? Vertical circular motion would stop. And hence, the minimum velocity condition is very important. So for all these 3 points, I am just giving you formulae. Remember that. Okay. For point A, it is root Rg. For point B, it is root 3Rg. And for point C, it is root 5Rg. As you can see, for this point, point A, it is minimum. For point B, it is medium. And for point C, it is highest, as we discussed now. Right. So these are the formulae for minimum velocity. Okay. These are the formulae for minimum velocity. Yes? Fine. Now, another formula which you have to remember for CVT is E is equal to 5 by 2 mRg. E is equal to 5 by 2 mRg. Why this formula? Why this formula? Because this formula gives a conservation of energy at each point. Okay? Now we remember the law of conservation of energy, right? Energy can either be created or be destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another form. Or whenever one form of energy disappears, another form of energy appears. Okay? And in the same quantity. Yes? Right. So, at point A, B and C, okay? At points A, B and C, we have to just show that energy is equal to 5 by 2 mRg. Okay? So whether it is potential energy or kinetic energy, I don't know. Okay? Whether it is potential energy or kinetic energy, I don't know. It means I know, but we are not going deep inside right now. Okay? So for all the 3 points, the energy should be same. This shows that the energy is conserved at each point and there is no wastage of energy. Okay? So that formula is also important while calculating or while solving the problems for energy. Remember that. Okay, that formula is very important. Yes. Okay. So finally, let us go towards the final part of circular motion. Okay, let us go towards the final part of circular motion. With this last part, we will finish on the theory of circular motion, and in the next part we will move towards the problems. Okay. So the last part is kinematical equations. The last part is kinematical equations. See, as you know, for linear motion, the kinematical equations were V equal to U plus AT, S equal to UT plus half AT square, and V square equal to U square plus 2AS. Okay, so these were the 3 kinematical equations for linear motion. For circular motion, so for linear motion here, linear motion, okay. For circular motion, just replace the symbols, you will directly get the kinematical equations. Okay, yes. So V is replaced by, of course, omega, as we have seen earlier. What is U? U is initial velocity. So we will give omega naught. Okay, or omega 0 for initial velocity. Plus A is replaced by alpha, as we know it is angular acceleration. T is time itself, so there is no problem. S, that is displacement, it is replaced by theta. U is replaced by omega naught. T is again there, plus half. A is replaced by alpha. T square is again as it is. Third one, B square is replaced by omega square. U square is replaced by omega naught square, plus 2 times alpha theta. So these are the kinematical equations for circular motion. These are the kinematical equations for circular motion. Okay. So with this, we have finished the theory which is required for CET exam. Okay. And now in next session, we will go towards some problems. How problems are there? Also, we are going to observe some theory of rotational motion also. Okay. So stay tuned, stay connected. In next video, we will meet along with the problems of this circular motion, also along with some theory part of rotational motion also. Yes. So stay connected as always. Do not forget to like the video, share the video with your dear ones so that they can also crack CET exam 2020. Okay. As it is approaching nearer, we all have very much excitement as well as a sort of fear in our hearts. So, to drive away the fear, just pass on the video to all your friends, watch yourself also, always watch full video, always practice each and everything, always write down, always solve the problems, okay? And do not forget to share the video. Also, do not forget to subscribe the channel so that you get regular updates and hit the bell icon so that you can get the notification whenever a new video is released, okay? So right now we are releasing the video every day. So every day you have to be with us. Every day you have to come onto the channel. You have to watch the video. You have to practice. Okay. As I said, we are going to take each and every part of physics, chemistry, maths, and biology. Okay. As the time permits, I am trying to give my maximum. I am trying to do my best. You also do your best. Till then, thank you very much. Keep learning.